So I just screamed for 20 minutes. And this is why I don't do YouTube. Because one of two things happens. I either get frustrated because people are dumb and they make me mad. Or I get frustrated because people don't watch it. So it's like I can't win. I can't win. And this is the video about Sony and EA because I don't have anything to really say about EA. So I'm going to cover EA first just so we can get out of the way. And then I'll get into Sony, and then I'll finish it off with Sony and Microsoft and my thoughts moving forward on the two titles. Welcome to the podcast of Sony and EA Gamescom 2013 news and thoughts. Welcome. Hello. So EA today brought out their stuff finally at Gamescom. I stayed up all morning to watch EA's press conference. Oh my god. But then I quit after the UFC thing because it just upset me. So let's begin. Where did we get started? They started with The Sims 4. I don't know what they did. It looks a lot like The Sims 3, but I'm open to The Sims 4, although I will not be buying it when it comes out because, well, SimCity is a royal fuckery, and I don't trust them, so they have to regain my trust, and I will wait for other people to get fucked before I try to do that, although Origin does have their new return policy where you can return it within 24 hours, which is awesome. Props to EA on that one. But I still will not be buying The Sims 4 right away because I'm very cautious of EA and Maxis mostly after SimCity because it was absolutely awful. So, moving on, they talked about Plants vs. Zombies. I don't know if anyone cares. I think Garden Warfare is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. They showed the price, and it's pretty much a full-price game. It's a little less, I think, than full price, but it's pretty much a full-price game. And I don't understand why you would buy that game. I'm just giving you a heads up. They're trying to cash in on the Plants vs. Zombies brand, which I don't necessarily blame them for that, but, I mean, Battlefield, Call of Duty, any of those titles will serve you much better than Plants vs. Zombies will. There's no reason to buy Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. No, flat out none. Not one reason. Don't do it, please. And then they showed like a brief thing of Peggle 2. I'm assuming if you played Peggle, which I never did, you're excited for Peggle 2. And I'm assuming there's no reason to not like Peggle 2 because it's just more Peggle. So, go Peggle 2. Yeah, EA winning the war right there. Then we moved on to... I think they moved on to the UFC next, but that's where I'm going. No, maybe they went to Dragon Age, I think. Dragon Age Inquisition. Okay, I've never played Dragon Age before. I'm interested, but it doesn't come out till next fall, so I'm not as interested because there's a long time between now and then. So, I'm interested. You've got me paying attention, but there's nothing that I can do with that right now. It doesn't come out anytime soon, so it is what it is. You didn't really show anything. You kind of talked about it. Sounds interesting. You know, you have agents, but my experience with games that let you have agents to go do missions for you is like The Godfather 2 is my go-to with that. And The Godfather 2, you had like men that worked for you, and then you could send them to do stuff, and somehow I won the game. I wasn't doing any of the missions. Like, I was just running around wreaking havoc, and, you know, I was having fun. Then all of a sudden it was like, you win, because like you had to go like destroy a compound. I had to do all this shit and like kill these marked men before I could do it. And then somehow like my guys in the time that I was just fucking around went and did all that stuff for me, and then I just won the game. And I was kind of upset because I didn't actually get to play the game. So I'm cautious of when I get to tell the computer to play for me, I guess. But I'm interested. Hands to the air, interested. Then they showed the UFC game, which they said they were going to show gameplay. They did not show gameplay. They showed more cinematic renderings of gameplay. It was not straight gameplay. Straight gameplay is what it looks like when I'm playing the game. That's not what it looks like when I'm playing the game. That was just stupid, pointless banter. And, you know, they showed the submission, but they focused too much on the fact that the neck has veins in it, and not enough on how you do the submission, because submission systems in games have always been a difficult task to get right. The first two UFC games never did it right. The third one, I think, is the best option that I've seen presented so far. Although I don't like the big graphic coming up on the screen and covering up the whole screen. If you don't know, you have to like cover their bar with your bar for a certain period of time to get the submission. And that's just, it's very cumbersome and takes you out of the experience. I think it's the best way of doing it that I've seen, but I'd like somebody to come up with something better. And they just didn't show how that even works. Some of the animations look stiff to me, but I don't know. It's alright. They didn't actually show anything, so I don't really care. It really disappointed me because I was really looking forward to it because they said they were going to show gameplay. That wasn't gameplay. That was nothingness. That's like when Madden says they're going to show gameplay and they show like a pre-rendered RG3 running around. Like, it's not gameplay. I want to see it from like the perspective of I'm RG3 and I'm running around, not this fucking video that you rendered from replay angles. It's not the same thing. So that kind of upset me that they didn't show much. They said they still have 9 months to work on it, so here's to hoping they do a better job. Because I was not excited about what I saw, but then again, we didn't get to see anything, so that was the most disappointing part. And then I tuned out of EA's press conference. I'm assuming they showed Battlefield and something like that. I think I saw a bit of Need for Speed, but it just kind of looks like Need for Speed to me. For those of you who like Need for Speed, it looked fine. I'm not a car person. Don't do racing games very much. Certainly don't do Need for Speed games very much. I used to play some of them, but nothing much has happened as far as I'm concerned. Like, Underground was good. Carbon was good, I think. I think that's what they were called. And since then, I haven't really played any of them, so it's been many generations of Need for Speed since I last picked up one of them, and I'm not interested. So we're wrapping up EA's news there, calling it a day. Moving on to Sony, who came on stage today, and I didn't actually see any of the press conferences, but I've read everything. I was not awake, and I did not want to watch them, so I don't care. But we're talking about it, because we're going to get to Microsoft versus Sony, because people have been yelling at me all day, and it makes me not want to do YouTube anymore. And I just can't. So, anyway. Sony came on stage and finally announced when the PS4 will be available. In the US, it is November 15th, and in the European regions, which it is launching in, it will be November 29th. So, a little bit later in Europe, which is usually how it goes, although I don't quite understand why. A part of me just thinks they need more time probably to make the machines. Part of me just wishes they'd fucking... I'd rather them delay the US release and just get it all out at the same time and like make a giant hype explosion than to wait like that, but what do I know? Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I don't know anything. But that's what I feel in my heart, is that they should just get them out at the same time. But I think that the date is alright. I wish that for Sony's sake they came out a bit earlier, just to guarantee that they beat Microsoft. Microsoft said November, and they haven't tried to specify any more than that so far, but I think that it's important for Sony from their perspective to get out before Microsoft, and I think they will. I still think Microsoft is probably, again, I'm sounding like an ass, but they're having issues. I mean, they've cut down the number of territories to 13. They're just, clearly the European pre-order numbers are dismal because there's no reason really to give away FIFA and to have an exclusive Call of Duty Ghost bundle in Europe if you had good pre-order numbers in Europe. So they have bad pre-order numbers over there. Clearly they're having difficulties with manufacturing, and by difficulties I mean they're just behind. They're not going to have tons of machines available, and I'm pretty sure Sony already has more pre-orders than they have machines. But again, I just want to make it clear that I think Microsoft is in more trouble. Based on the fact that they are cutting down territories while also not even having a good amount of pre-orders in Europe. So it's like the pre-order numbers are low, but they also can't even get it to the territories they originally promised, which kind of having not a lot of demand and also not even having enough machines for the demand you already have seems a little crazy. So I think that Microsoft will probably come out a week or two after Sony. But there is the potential for them to try to launch alongside something like Call of Duty Ghost on November 5th. Although I think it's unlikely. I you know, it's a possibility that still remains. So that was Sony's news in terms of their release date. They also announced that you can get a PlayStation 4 controller in red and blue. So I'm going to have black controllers, but for people who like multicolored shit, and I know that there are a lot of people who do, although I don't, there you go. You can have multicolored shit. And a big announcement that proves me to be right. And, you know, this is the thing I'm falling back on, because people yelled at me earlier, and they're like, you're a fucking idiot, blah, 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 blah. And I removed and deleted all the comments, because I haven't been removing or deleting comments in a while. I haven't even got mad at someone who's yelled at me in over a year, probably. I've just been really calm when it comes to YouTube comments, and I don't quite care what you have to say. But, you know, some people just don't. They think I'm an idiot, and I know what I'm talking about. I really do. Sure, I've been wrong. Like, I'm not always right. But for the most part, I know what I'm saying. I'm not stupid. Like, I know what's going on. And when Microsoft announced that they would have Twitch available for their streaming service on the Xbox One, I said it will come to PlayStation later. And the reason I said that was because Microsoft never said the word exclusive. And Microsoft, of all the things they love saying they have an exclusive something. And they never said that it was exclusive. And today, Twitch and Sony confirmed that Twitch broadcasting will be coming to PlayStation 4 this fall. And all you have to do is press the share button on the DualShock 4, and you can stream live to Twitch. I knew that was going to happen, because they didn't say it was exclusive. And they love to say exclusive, like it's their favorite word. And this partially goes back to my speculation that Titanfall would see a release on PlayStation consoles in the future. Whether or not it's Titanfall 1 or if it's the second Titanfall or whatever, it'll see a release on PlayStation consoles. And I know that based on the fact that Mass Effect was published by EA, Titanfall is published by EA, and Mass Effect originally was exclusive to Microsoft consoles. I think Mass Effect 1 may have been published by Microsoft, but Mass Effect 2 and 3 were published by EA and available on both the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, because any EA published game will not be exclusive to Microsoft forever. It'll be a timed exclusive that is only temporarily exclusive, whether that's for the first title or maybe even the second one. Eventually, one day, if the series does well, and assuming the PS4 sells well, it'll find its way to PlayStation consoles. Mark my words. I was right with Twitch. I'll probably be right with that. I'll probably be right with the fact that GTA will see a release on next-gen and PC in the spring of next year. And I base that logic on the fact that I think it was Gun, was that the name of the game, that Rockstar released on the PS2 and Xbox prior to the release of the Xbox 360 and PS3. Said it would never come to next-gen consoles, and then 5 minutes later, here it is at next-gen consoles. So there is a history to back me up on this. I'm not crazy. I'm not making things up. These things will happen, and it's just a matter of when. And in terms of that, or in relation to that, Minecraft has been confirmed by Notch for PS3, PS4, and PS Vita. So Minecraft is also not exclusive to Microsoft. That was a exclusive for a period of time, and eventually would find its way to other consoles, and, well, that has just happened. So, you know, I said earlier that Sony was getting kicked in the balls by Microsoft every turn, and I just want to say that Sony is now kicking Xbox fanboys in the balls at every turn, because everything you've come to me and being like, see, they have a deal, because no, they don't. You just don't understand how this business works. Exclusives are exclusive only if they are first party. Everything else is up for grabs. It's just a matter of when. You know, it's not forever, okay? Nothing is forever unless it's up by a first party, and it's not. So, hey. Sony announced a bunch of indie titles to be released on PS4. And people who are saying that, like, indie titles are stupid, like, I don't play indie titles personally, other than Minecraft. That would be the only exception, and that's barely even indie at this point. I mean, it's pretty full-fledged at this point. But it was indie to begin with. But I don't really play indie titles. But people do. Like, a lot of people do. You can't hate on Sony for having indie titles. It's just not... Like, Microsoft has fixed their stance on indies, Originally, they were very restrictive when it comes to indies. They're opening up a bit now. They're starting to welcome in the indie love. But Sony did it first, and people are like, "Hey, Sony's stupid. They just all they have is indie games. Microsoft the best because they don't have indie games." And now Microsoft is like allowing indie games in, and no one's saying Microsoft's stupid because they have indie games. I don't know what you want. Like, Sony has a bunch of games for a bunch of people. There's nothing wrong with having indie games. I'm not going to play them. Like, unless Minecraft happens again, and I don't mean like the same game. I mean like a big indie game that blows up like that. I probably won't play any of the indie games. But it's not a negative to have indie games. Like, it's totally positive to have indie games available to be played. And the other thing to remember is that Sony didn't announce Uncharted 4 today or anything from Naughty Dog, but they're still there. They still exist. They will be making something. It'll likely be Uncharted 4. First of all, to coincide with PlayStation 4, Uncharted 4. I just think it works. And secondly, because, well, people fucking want it. But, you know, Naughty Dog makes really good games. I don't really personally enjoy the Uncharted series too much. I would rather watch someone play Uncharted than actually play it myself, because I think mechanically it's annoying. Like, I just don't like games that I kill a trillion people, which is why at times The Last of Us bothered me when I just get in these giant gunfights and like slaughter people. But, you know, that's how video games are, I guess. Like, that was my biggest issue with BioShock, is like these pointless fights with like a million people. It was like, I don't want to fight a million people. I just want to play the story, because I really enjoyed Infinite Story. I just didn't enjoy the fucking barrage of people. But, you know, Sony will have big first-party titles. Microsoft is just, they're kind of front-heavy with big-party titles. But you gotta remember again that, like, launch titles aren't that important. Like, launch is a very tiny window in which you judge things without real purpose. Like, what I'm trying to say is you're judging a lot of your... I know it's important, but you're judging a lot of which console you're going to get based on launch titles alone. And it's not a good idea, because Sony will have Naughty Dog. And they have Sucker Punch working on Infamous, which they've announced. But they're not coming out in November. So everyone's like, oh, well, Sony has nothing but indie games. At launch, they have Killzone, but other than that, they have a lot of third-party, you know, cross-platform titles, but they don't have a lot of exclusives that are launching alongside the PS4, or at least at the same time. Fair enough, but they do have Naughty Dog in their back pocket. They will always have them. They will have them into the future, and there will be many titles over the span of the PlayStation 4's life made by Naughty Dog. Sucker Punch, I don't know if they'll make another Infamous after Second Son, or if they'll make another different game altogether, or if they'll kind of do what Naughty Dog did, where they go make another game for, you know, one, like Naughty Dog one did The Last of Us, kind of in the middle of Uncharted. They'll go do something and then come back to Infamous. I don't know. But they do have big first-party titles. There's that other one, something 1866 or something like that. 1886, whatever it is, that Sony showed at E3 that was like, I don't know what this is, but it looks pretty cool. You know, Sony has games. You just have to wait. Just be patient. They're coming. They're just not here yet. But they do have Drive Club and Killzone and stuff. And, I mean, really, Microsoft, they have some things, but all these things are unproven commodities. You don't know. Yeah, they're looking AAA and they're looking big, but you don't know. I mean, nobody knows, I guess is what I'm saying. So calm down. Everyone, bring it down a notch with the indie game hate. They announced a ton of indie games again, and I know it sounds like indie chaos, but just be patient. There may be a great indie game in here. There may not be, but, you know, it's not the end of the world to have a bunch of options, even if the blockbusters aren't quite ready just this second. You know, just chill. And I'm trying to find, the PS Vita got a price drop today to $200 in the US. I'm not going to be picking up a Vita, probably, but that's pretty cool. Hopefully, the streaming of the PS4 games to the Vita works, And if it's proven to be a good thing and actually working, which is another feature people seem to forget when talking about Xbox and PlayStation, is I know the Vita's had poor numbers, but the Vita had Borderlands 2 announced today for it, and I know Borderlands 2 came out years ago, but that's a pretty big title to be coming to the Vita. So you can't take anything away from the Vita for getting a big title like that. And if they do make this streaming to the Vita service, really work, I could see that being a big feature. And I know it's $200 more to get a Vita. I understand. I'm totally on your side. I don't want to do it either. But if it's really working and I could stream a really, awesome game like, say, Grand Theft Auto 5 does get a next-gen release, I could stream Grand Theft Auto 5 to my Vita. I'm in. I'm done. Just do it. Just do it. Just do whatever it takes. Just do it. I want it. I want it, and I want it now. So I think that's another feature people keep overlooking. And now I'm just going to touch on, after today, I feel like I'm scattered with this PS4 news, but I'm so frustrated tonight with people that I don't feel like talking about PS4 news. I talked about it, and then there's a bunch of stuff that I don't know anything about. And there's an open world game that Rime or something. I don't know what that is. Rime? I don't know what that is. I can't read it. It's in tiny text on this page. I know what it says, but it says open world, so fuck yes, open world indie title thing. I assume it's indie-ish. And then there's Everyone's Gone to Rapture, which sounds interesting. It's from the people who made Dear Esther, which is a game on PC, I think. Only. I assume. I've seen it on Steam a lot. Looks interesting. It's very walk around, look at the island, but could be good. I don't know. Never played. But when it comes to Microsoft and Sony, you gotta understand, they all have the same machine. Like, in terms of hardware, they're identical. Yes, there's a little bit difference with the RAM, but really, for the sake of this discussion, they're identical. And they now both stream to Twitch. Identical. I believe this may not be true, but I feel like the PlayStation records longer than the Xbox with its built-in DVR. But at the same time, not totally confirmed any of that information. The Xbox does not have copyright protection on its HDMI. Sony is yet to say, so that's a plus for me when it comes to Xbox. Dedicated servers on Ghost. I'm not going to say they're a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not bad to have dedicated servers on Call of Duty Ghost. It's not bad. But I don't put as much weight into dedicated servers as a lot of people do. They're nice to have. Believe me, it's not like an issue. The only time they become a problem is when the servers go down, then you can't play. Yeah, it's kind of shitty, isn't it? And that happens less so when they're not dedicated than it does when they're dedicated, because dedicated means they run the whole thing. They run the show. They go down, there's nothing we can do. Some servers go down now with Call of Duty. Well, the games are actually still running off people's individual hosts, so it's not as big of a deal. But I'm not basing my entire purchase off of one game having dedicated servers on one console. It's not that big of a deal. You got to realize that this is not all there is. The game could be bad. Like, the game itself may be bad. And if Microsoft has, every game they ever make has dedicated servers, probably won't, because that would be insane, and there's not enough servers to do that. I hate to tell you, but 300,000 servers, that's a lot of servers. It's not enough to run every game ever on dedicated servers. Just not going to work. Especially in the future when the install base for Xbox One is much larger because more people have upgraded to it. It just won't work. But, if the games are bad, it doesn't matter. In the end, dedicated servers don't fix it. And, go back and play Modern Warfare 2. There's nothing wrong with that game. Connections are fine without dedicated servers. It's the engine. It's all in the engine. Everything is in the engine, whether you like to hear it or not. A lot of your issues you experience are not related to connection. A lot of them are related to engines. And I think that people have led themselves to believe that theater mode is the cause. And I think to an extent it may be, but I think that the extent that theater mode is the cause of the issues is probably, and I can't guarantee anything I'm saying, so I'm just speaking based on what I know about the machines, probably based a lot in the hardware, because the PS3 and Xbox 360 are not powerful systems. They are not. They are very old, and they were not necessarily designed to do that kind of thing. And I think that a lot of what you guys experience is related to the systems being really hampered by having theater mode running, and by having to try to record the game and just take that information and, you know, compile all of it. It's just not easy on the machines, and I think that it would have been easier to do on the new machines, and then they took it away, and everyone's like, well, now they fixed the connections because now it's all going to be better, and I don't believe that. I do not believe for a second that recording the game was that big of an effect on the connections. I think it dragged down the engine, and the engine was running on the machines, and the machines just couldn't keep up with what needed to be going on. Because I played the game on PC, and yeah, PC has dedicated servers, but at the same time I played on PC, and the connection isn't garbage, you know? Like, it's all fine, everything feels smooth, so I think my PC is 110 times more powerful than either the PS3 or the Xbox 360, and I think that a lot of it is probably based in hardware shortcomings, and not so much on actual connection as much as it is the engine being dragged down by theater mode. So I don't think dedicated servers are that big of a deal. You can celebrate all you want, but it's one game, and it's not going to decide both machines' future. Sure, Microsoft will always have these servers, but I mean, I don't know what that means. And I don't think that it's that much of a stretch to say that companies should be able to offer dedicated servers on both machines by themselves, because EA, for all their shittiness, EA offers dedicated servers on Battlefield on PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. And they do it, and they do an okay job of it, even if launch day is always a disaster. They do an okay job after that, so a lot more people play Call of Duty, which makes it difficult, but I think if Activision wanted to, they could. They just don't, and now Microsoft said, hey, we got this thing, take our money, take our bribe, make us sound like the best people ever, and here we go. And, you know, PS4 users, don't be too disheartened. For A, this may not last forever. It sounds like really bad PR to me. I don't know. I'm getting Ghost on the Xbox. I always was. But at the same time, I don't think the experience on PS4 will be hindered by that. If anything, it's hindered by the fact that the PlayStation version of the game always sucks, and it has nothing to do with Sony. It has totally to do with companies porting the game over and porting it poorly. That has always been the truth, and that goes a lot to do with the PS3 and the way it's designed, using a cell processor, which is different than the x86 that is being used now. So now that the machines are using the same language and stuff as PC, everything should be pretty much the same, and ports should not be as big of a pain in the ass. So hopefully there won't be as many issues, because if you play things like The Last of Us on the PS3, they're beautiful, they run smoothly, they're amazing. Like, The Last of Us never loads. It loads once at the beginning of the game and never again throughout the whole game. And that game's beautiful and really impressive. So for it to not have to load, the PS3 is a pretty good system, and it does its job. And, you know, anyone who says, like, well, the PS3 is inferior, that's why Call of Duty sucks on it. No, it's because they don't take the time to do it correctly. Because it's difficult to develop for a PS3, so they just port it over, and they're just like, okay, it runs, we're done. That's it. And that's the reality of the situation. It has nothing to do with servers. It just totally has to do with cell processors. And I think the cell processor is a very powerful system, and I kind of wish Sony stuck with it. It's like, you know, Xbox fans are annoyed with Microsoft sometimes for all the flip-flopping they've done with, like, has to be online, doesn't have to be online, has to do this, doesn't have to do that, blah, 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 use games, yes, use games, no. Like, they can't make up their minds, and they feel like they're not pushing forward. I think that the cell processor was very powerful, and once people figured out how to use it, especially Naughty Dog, they made amazing games with it, and I think that I wish Sony would have stuck with it and tried to keep pushing the cell processor. I don't know. I just feel like there was something really special they had there, and we're kind of sacrificing it. Ease of use for developers is always important, especially when it comes to cross-platform titles, because Sony always kind of got the shitty end of cross-platform titles, but at the same time, I don't know. First-party titles were amazing on the PS3. Man, a lot of stuff done on there I don't think could have been done on the Xbox. Just maybe it could be done on the Xbox One probably for sure, but the 360, they're not powerful machines, and I think that the Cell gave Sony developers a bit of extra room to squeeze the last life out of these machines. Believe me, these machines need to go. They are ancient. I mean, even the new machines are ancient in terms of PC technology, but they're not as ancient as these things. These things are dinosaurs, and they need to go. There's a lot of potential in the world that they are not able to exploit. So, I'm going to try to wrap up here, but I think I'm getting both of them. I'm getting them for different reasons. I'm getting the PS4 for the exclusives, and, in the hopes that maybe one day it reigns supreme. But, when it comes to right now, I buy cross-gen, or cross-platform games, mainly on 360. There have been exceptions to that rule, like LA Noire, because LA Noire came on multiple discs for the Xbox, and I just didn't want it, and it came on one disc for the PS3, so I bought it on PS3. But I buy a lot of games on the Xbox right now, and my PS3 is mainly for exclusive titles. My PS4 is definitely so I can keep up with exclusives, and I think I'll probably be playing more cross-platform games on my PS4. But I don't know. Right now, my pre-orders are pretty much even, with the Xbox One having Madden, because I'm going to buy Madden on the 360 and then trade it in at GameStop, and for $10 more you can upgrade to the next-gen version when it comes out. So, Madden on the Xbox, Call of Duty Ghost, and I think that's it right now on the Xbox. I haven't picked which console I'm getting Watch Dogs on, so that one's kind of still up in the air. I think I'm probably going to get it on Sony's, though, because Sony seems to have pretty good deals going with Ubisoft. Then on the PlayStation side of things, I have Battlefield and Killzone currently pre-ordered for launch titles. So I'm doing the even thing. I'm trying to even out the games on each machine. I'm trying to give them both a shot. And, I won't know until way into the future which one's my favorite. But I feel like at least at the start of the generation, I'm going to kind of use both of them equally. And then I'll figure it out, Maybe it'll come down to controller preference. I think I like the look of the PS4 controller. Haven't touched it yet. Don't know. I don't hate the PS3 controller like everyone else does. I guess I've been playing it since 06, and I don't hate its guts. I like the Xbox controller a lot, but I don't have a particular preference either way. It doesn't. I think once you get used to, the PS3 controller, and once you get used to the Xbox controller, you can just pick either one up and it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. I think PS4's looks nice. The Xbox, they didn't really do anything with it. I'm not sure that I really care about the PS4's touchpad and anything. I don't think any of that will matter. But, so the Xbox One looks like it'll be the same as this one, which is good. This one's a good design. Works just fine. PS4's, I think, looks like a better design than the DualShock 3. So, hopefully it is. And then I can play cross-platform games. It looks like it'll be better for shooters, which is kind of what the PS3 has always kind of lacked, but at the same time, never bothered me too much. Played most Call of Duty titles on PS3 and Xbox and been fine. Other than, like I was saying, with the cell processor and issues with porting. So, I think right now it's pretty much, it's dead even, guys. It's just dead even, and I think a lot of it comes down to which company you like the best. I sound like a Sony fanboy, but if I were to choose, and I only had the money for one, I would probably go with the PlayStation, based on my my suspicion that Titanfall will one day come to the PlayStation, if that series is any good even, and if it lasts. And so I won't be missing out on that forever. And for the Naughty Dog exclusives, because I think those are really awesome games. And then most other things are cross-platform anyway. So that's why I get a PS4. The Xbox, I'm not a big Halo fan. I'm not a big Gears fan. I'm not a big fan of any of their current exclusives that'll be getting sequels, like Dead Rising. Not really. I played Dead Rising 2, and it's not my cup of tea. I think I traded it in like a week later. It's just not my thing. So I like zombie games, just not those ones. It is what it is. But I think right now I'd go with Sony's console, because the only thing I'd be missing out on is the Xbox exclusives, which if I were to pick which exclusive I prefer Sony's, because I prefer story-driven games, and I know Halo has a story, but I've never been into it. Doesn't matter to me. I like Naughty Dog games in particular, and they're very important to me to get to play them, so that's why I'd go there if I only had the money to get one. But I mean, if you're a big Halo fan, if you've been playing, Xbox titles since the original Xbox or whatever, or you only owned a 360, you never owned a PS3, go with the Xbox. It's not as bad as it was. I think at the beginning it was really lacking on a lot of fronts, and I think now they've pretty much evened the playing field to the point where it comes down to which exclusives do you prefer. And again, like I'm trying to explain, do not pick which exclusives do you prefer as launch titles. I mean, think down the road. Try to envision where they will be, 2, 3, 4 years from now. Because, Naughty Dog will still be under Sony's wings, and, I don't know, maybe Halo won't be there. I feel like Halo will always be a staple of Microsoft's library, but maybe after the 9th Halo you won't feel as attached to it. I don't know. Just try to envision the future, because in the future, Microsoft will still have Gears, Halo, and Dead Rising. Sony will still have Naughty Dog, which could be The Last of Us 2, or Naughty Dog 10, Uncharted 10, or Infamous Second Son, Third Grandchild. I don't know, but I think they're pretty even in terms of a lot of things. And although Microsoft has their dedicated server promise, I don't think that you should be picking games based on that, because not all games require dedicated servers. Games that do, like Battlefield, have them across all platforms. Call of Duty is right now in this weird place, but I can't see Activision doing that forever. I think it's just really, really bad PR. They already have Sony fans mad at them for the DLC thing, which I don't think is a big deal a month, but some people do. And I think that it would just hurt them more in the long run in terms of the Call of Duty brand and the franchise overall to not do anything for Sony players. I think that's one way to kill a franchise, is to have an entire half of your players just not buy your title because you're not supporting their machine. I think that would be really bad for Call of Duty. So, and we still have Destiny, which I think is getting a lot of exclusive content on PS4. They've been working together, so we'll see how that goes. Anyways, I'm done talking. I'm tired. I need to get off here. I've been talking for forever. Again, I'm not on anyone's side. I'm getting both. I'm playing both. I try to point out the fact that not everything is so vital. Not everything should you believe their goodwill, like the dedicated servers. You've been paying for Xbox Live for years and getting nothing basically in return. Don't be like, well, that's what I pay for Xbox Live for. Okay, yeah, but you've given them so much money. Don't feel like you owe them anything, I guess, is what I'm saying. I mean, they're finally using the money for something that seems sort of worthy of it. In the past, they haven't. So, that's all I'm saying. Sony, they don't have the worst network ever. You can believe whatever you want, but it's not as bad. The horror stories that you hear are, again, related to cell processor and nothing to do with the network. So, anyways, guys, I'm done talking. I will see you later. I'll probably do a follow-up on all this after. If anyone yells at me, I'll probably scream back. So, see you then. Bye.